G'day viewers, roll 'em! Welcome back, and it's really good to see your smiling faces again, and I'm really happy to be back in my garage doing what I really love doing, and that's working on my BMW E46. I must admit though, I'm feeling like a bit of a wuss at the moment because it's the coldest day we've had all year, and really it's still 20 odd degrees, so it's not that cold, but after the stinking hot weather we've had all summer, it's a bit of a rude shock. So I've got the long sleeve shirt on, and kind of smells a bit like my grandma's spare bedroom, so but anyway, a couple more washes and she'll be sweet. But what's really going to warm me up is today's project. But I'm sitting here getting cozy with my new Turner Motorsport performance front sway bar, and it is going to go into that. Home to the mountain. I'm really excited about it, because it's the last piece of the puzzle in terms of my performance suspension setup. And I'm going to give a bit of a run through in terms of what a sway bar, or sometimes known as an anti-roll bar, what it does and how it works, and also show you how easy it is to install. Now the front sway bar is a doddle. It's certainly easier with two people because it's a bit awkward to handle, but it's certainly doable with one person. Is a doddle. I've already installed the rear anti-roll bar. It's a bit more time consuming only because of other components which need to come off, but it's still relatively easy to do. So I'm going to run through some of the features of this, and we're going to show you how easy it is to install, and run through what an anti-roll bar does and why upgrading to a performance anti-roll bar is such a great addition to your performance suspension setup. So without further ado, let's get cracking, eh? Okay, so I'm in the car. We're driving down the road, having some fun. It's been a while since I've been in here, and I'm really loving the feel of it. Didn't realise how much I missed it until I just sat in it. The last time I was in here was when I put in the short shift kit, and that was a while ago. Different story, so moving on. The reason I wanted to get in the car was to help to explain what an anti-roll bar does and how it works. An anti-roll bar is a torsion spring, and it's connected to the left hand side and the right hand side, and then it's also got a couple of brackets which secure it to the body of the car to stop it from twisting. It helps to level out the car during cornering or undulations in the road. Say we're going around a left hand corner, and what will happen is all the weight will start to shift to the right hand side of the car, which means that all the suspension components on the right hand side of the car are starting to compress down as all the weight's transferred onto that side, and the left hand side will start to lift up. The anti-roll bar will start to pull that left hand side back down to the road to help maintain tyre contact, which gives you more grip and more stability as you're going around the corner, but also to help level out the car so it doesn't feel like you're going to tip over. So that's what an anti-roll bar does, and obviously the firmer the anti-roll bar, the more effective it is in terms of leveling out the car, but the downside is the stiffer it is, so you sacrifice ride comfort for performance. The other thing that anti-roll bar does is it helps to correct oversteer and understeer. So oversteer is a bit like when the back of the car starts to want to slide out. A bit like, you've seen the guys drifting. To correct that, what you would do is put a firmer anti-roll bar on the back of the car. Now it also will correct understeer. So understeer is where you turn the wheel to go into a corner, left-hand corner, once again, same example, and there's this momentary pause as the car starts to turn into the corner. It's like the back of the car is still sort of pushing forward. And a good example of that would be, I don't know if you ever built a billy cart and you come hurtling down a hill and you pull on the rope to turn round the corner, and all it does is keep going straight and you've got no traction or steering, and that's understeer. So to correct that, obviously what you do is put a firmer anti-roll bar on the front. It's a bit of a balancing act between having no understeer, which would then tend to create a bit more oversteer and things like that. So that's why it's a good idea to actually buy your anti-roll bar or your performance anti-roll bar as a kit, where it's been sized correctly and matched to your vehicle. The other thing you can do is upgrade your rubber bushes to polyurethane bushes, which are much firmer to stop the anti-roll bar from twisting within the brackets, and therefore apply more of its force or energy in terms of correcting the balance on the car. As a side note there, the performance anti-roll bars that I got from Turner Motorsport are also adjustable. So if I put them on the car and I still need to correct a bit more oversteer or understeer, they're adjustable. So I've got a couple of notches where I can firm it up or soften them up to get a little bit more fine tuning to suit my driving style as well. So there's plenty of options out there. The benefit to your handling is going to be immense. So let's get cracking on the install, and we'll show you what I mean about how easy it is to install these suckers, Now it goes without saying that in order to install the anti-roll bar, you're going to have to get underneath the car. Now you're going to have to remove the plastic splash guard and also the aluminium skid plate. Just as a side note, on that aluminium skid pan, once you've finished your install, you need to make sure you put that back on, because it's actually a part of the structure of the car and stops the chassis from twisting. So don't drive without it. If you've removed it, put it back on. It'll stop you doing any sort of serious damage to your car. So let's grab the rest of the tools and the anti-roll bar, and we'll get started on how to install this sucker, eh? So I'm down at the front of the BMW and I've got all my bits ready to go. So as you can see, I've pre-installed the bushes onto the anti-roll bar, ready to go onto the car. Already put a couple of rags and cloths over the top of the control arms and that sort of thing, so we don't scratch too much of the paint, which we really don't want to do. So I'll just get this camera reset up in a position so you can see what I'm doing, and we'll go from there. So I've already got one side on. Just get this other side on. It's not actually easy doing this with the camera watching you. It's going to take a bit of practice, I think. I'm trying to work out where I should put the camera and then having to be careful that I don't knock everything over. I've got cameras and lights and everything going on underneath here, and it's not there's not a lot of space as it is. So you start throwing a couple of lights and cameras and a camera into the mix, things get cramped pretty quick. So I'm not going to torque them up yet. Two reasons. Firstly, I haven't checked what the torque spec is, and I think it's probably only about 12-15 Newton meters. But also, I'll grab the camera out and I'll show you the end links that I'm going to be using and explain why I'm not going to torque everything up, but I'll show you how to install them for sure. Okay, so I've got that in place. All I've got to do now is put the end links on to connect either side to the suspension. Now on the BMW E46, it actually connects to a bracket that is on the shock absorber or on the strut. So what I'm going to be installing is these adjustable end links. Now the reason we're installing an adjustable end link is because these are an adjustable sway bar, so I've got a couple of set positions that I can install the end link to firm or soften up the anti-roll bar. Now because this is an aftermarket setup, so the struts are aftermarket and the anti-roll bars are aftermarket as well, I'm not really sure what length I need. So with the kit I get two centerpieces. I get a smaller one and the longer one, which I've already got on. So what I'm going to do is try the longer one, see how that fits, and if I need to put the smaller one on, I can. So that's another reason why I haven't torqued anything up. I've just got it tightened up at the moment. So what I'm going to do first is hook up one end to the bracket on the strut and then raise up the anti-roll bar and connect the other side. I'll turn my back to you, excuse me. Okay, so I've got all that hooked up, and I think I'm going to have to reuse these smaller ones because there's not a lot of clearance. There's enough, but if I want to, and that's because I've got it on the harder setting at the moment, and if I want to go the softer setting, I'm going to need more clearance to get it into that first hole. So I'll stick these in the toolbox for now, and then later on down the track we can make a final decision which way we go. So I'll get some shots of what it looks like installed and see what you guys think. Home to the mountain. So what do you think, guys? Boy, isn't that an easy install to do, eh? Probably one of the easiest suspension installs that you can do, and such great benefits from putting on a performance sway bar onto your car in terms of getting it to handle and steer much better. Great upgrade, and they're not that expensive, easy to do at home yourself. You'll probably need to go get a wheel alignment, but you haven't really sort of mucked around with anything which is going to have it too far out of whack. So yeah, make sure you get a wheel alignment next week and you should be sweet. The back's just as easy to do, except you've got to take more stuff off before you start, and there's a little bit less room, but you know, probably twice as long to do the back as it is the front, but certainly doable in a Saturday afternoon. As I say, great to be back in the garage again. I've really enjoyed doing this video. If you like it, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and ring that bell to get notified when new content comes out. Now moving forward, I've already got a couple of videos scripted which I'll start producing throughout the next week or so, but my schedule is I'm going to be putting out these vlogs every 2 weeks, and in between that I'm going to do short DIY videos covering things like oil changes, coolant, tyres, all those sort of things. General sort of DIY maintenance stuff that you can do at home to save yourself a few dollars and to keep your car running smoothly. So if you've got any questions in terms of what you would like to know about in terms of working on your car, please leave us a comment below and I'll make sure I get that addressed for you. So have a good week, guys. Stay safe, and I'll catch you next time at the TTFN.